Welcome to the Wake Before the Day podcast with my parents, Clark and Bobby. We're excited to talk about the Bible and the Holy Spirit adventures. Thanks for listening.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're talking about Genesis chapter 43 and 44. Is that right, Clark, or not?
2 for 1 today, special.
So a lot to unpack, but a lot of really big themes to understand in our unpacking too. And so Clark's going to help us understand the themes.
Yeah, you talk about reconciliation being possible here, but it's made possible because of people repenting of their sin, taking responsibility, and owning up to what's theirs. And so when it comes to the context of the story, we know the famine's still happening. We knew that Joseph knew there was going to be 7 good years, but then there was going to be 7 bad years. Mm-hmm. But Jacob didn't know that.
Jacob did not know the years.
Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Dan, Naphtali, they didn't know that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So they're blind. They're flying blind here. But Joseph knows what's happening. And so you can imagine they're praying for the fact that God end the famine, send rain, give us crops. And yet even in the famine, God not only used hard things to get Joseph to Pharaoh, now he's using a famine to get Joseph's family back to Joseph.
Right.
So that God's people would continue to live and thrive. But then even more importantly, God's covenantal promises that he had given to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob would continue.
Right.
So there's a lot of different elements and themes here. They needed food. It sounds like they were suffering. Jacob kept holding out because he didn't want to risk Benjamin's life.
Send Benjamin.
And it goes to show how bad things must be for Jacob to eventually get to a place where he does let him go. Mm-hmm. He must have been in a terrible spot.
Well, let's read.
Let's do it.
Okay, this is verse 1. Now the famine was still severe in the land. So when they had eaten all the grain they had brought from Egypt, his father said to them, "Go back and buy us a little more food." But Judah, so interesting that Judah is the one kind of we're going to read about stepping up. But Judah said to him, "The man warned us solemnly, 'You will not see my face again unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother along with us, we will go down and buy food for you. But if you will not send him, we will not go down, because this man said to us, 'You will not see my face again unless your brother's with you.'" That's serious. Israel asked, "Why did you bring this trouble on me by telling the man you had another brother?" And they replied, "The man questioned us closely about ourselves and our family. 'Is your father still living?' he asked. 'Do you have another brother?' And we simply answered his questions. How were we to know he would say, 'Bring your brother down here'?"
You know what? I can see both sides of this cat fight. I can see both sides to it. Yeah. Jacob's like, you guys, TMI. You share way too much. You've got people in your life that overshare. You're just like, pump the brakes here. I don't need to know all the details.
You didn't need to know that.
I need to know all the details of what's going on in your life, in your mind. So he's frustrated. And then I can understand where the brothers were, because they thought they were there just going to get food. Next thing you know, Rico Suave is busting them up saying, "You're spies. You're here to steal our stuff. Right. You are looking for unprotected parts of our land." And they're on their heels. And then he's like, "And by the way, tell me about your family, your brothers, and all this stuff." And it's like, they're vulnerable. Right. So they overshare, Dad, I'm sorry. When you go back to like what's happening within the heart of each character, I can resonate with Jacob as well. And I have a hunch that Jacob knew the steps of grief very well. The first step of grief that we've all experienced in loss is denial, then it's anger, then it's bargaining, then it's depression, and then it's acceptance. And whether it's Joseph, or it's the thought of losing Benjamin, or it's dealing with the famine, or the loss of Rachel, or whatever, there's a lot going on here. And the brothers explain again why they've been questioned, how this came to be. Yeah. And now, like you mentioned, Judah is the one that's stepping up into the limelight now and seemingly taking charge.
Yeah, Reuben's not on here.
But Judah is not the firstborn. Judah is the son of Leah, who is the fourthborn. Reuben was the eldest, disgraced himself by sleeping with his father's concubine. Simeon and Levi disgraced themselves by murdering a bunch of Shechemites.
But Simeon's not even there right now, because he's in prison.
Simeon's in the clank,
waiting.
So where's everybody at?
Bring Benjamin.
So Judah pops up here in verse 8, 9, and 10, and he says to his father, "Send the boy along with me." Now this is interesting that he's referring to Benjamin as a boy. We need to do some calculations.
You do the calculations.
Some math. Yes. Joseph was 17 years old when he was sold by his brothers.
Yes.
Now we know that Joseph's roughly 30 years old.
When he is in power.
When he was in power, yep. There have been 7 years of plenty, which gets him to 37. And at this point, there was 2 years into the famine, so that gets him to 39, if not 40 years old. So if Benjamin is 6 to 10 years younger than Joseph, who is now 40 years old, that means Benjamin is around 30. More of a young man than a boy, and more of a man than a young man.
Right,
Like, the
agreed.
dude's got a bunch of
He's not a
kids at this
teenager.
point.
Yes.
If you look at Genesis 46, eventually it tells you that he's got 10 sons of his own. Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Muppim, Hupim, and Ard. You're like, phew. Love to hear the story about those names. But here you're like,
But his title's still boy.
this is a grown man. He's the baby of the family.
Yes.
He's the baby of the family. Everyone knows he's the favorite of Pops.
Yep.
And so they're going, okay. So
Let's
he
pick it
said
up.
this to his brother, and then verse 9, Judah makes another clear statement. He says, I myself will guarantee his safety.
Right.
You can hold me responsible for him.
Yes.
If I do not bring him back to you and set him here before you, I will bear the shame before you all my life. As it is, if we had not delayed, we could have gone and returned twice. So Joseph steps up, and unlike Reuben, who's like, hey, if I mess up, just kill my kids.
Right.
Moron. Terrible. Here we have Judah saying, I'm going to take the responsibility upon myself.
Yeah.
And he's willing to risk his own life and well-being. And there are hints here of substitutionary atonement.
Yeah.
This is the first person in the Bible that I could find that does this, that willingly lays down
Offers.
their life
Yeah.
for the well-being of somebody else's life. And
Really?
yeah,
This is
and
the
I could be wrong, but I went through all the characters. I'm like, this is the first time I think that this happens, and it reminds me of what Jesus does most clearly,
Yeah.
but then also what Paul says or John says in 1 John 3:16 when he's
Yeah.
defining love,
Yeah.
and he says this is how we know what love is, that Jesus Christ laid down his life for us. And we have to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. And so when you look at Judah, Judah's recognizing here, I'm going to put my life on the line, Father. I'm going to go and I'm going to get Simeon and I'm going to bring Benjamin back to you and I will bear the full weight of responsibility. So
Yeah. This is a big
remind us
transformation.
real quick though, remind us, where has Judah come from? Because this guy
Yeah, it's not pretty.
doesn't exactly have an impeccable resume at this point.
Yeah, even if you just went back a few chapters when it was all about Judah in chapter 38, like there's a lot even in that one chapter to unpack. But if you go all the way back to the beginning of the story with Joseph, Judah
Yep.
was one of the leading voices, the one saying, hey, let's sell
the
let's
guy.
sell him, okay, to the
Yep.
Ishmaelites. Judah's the one who moved away from his family after betraying Joseph. So that's,
We can either conjecture and wonder,
Mm.
but you wonder if he was just so sick of what they all did. Because in his mind, maybe him saying, let's sell Joseph, he was being a hero.
right.
You know, like, I'm the good guy, and then you guys went and got rid of him. And
But then we understand that two of Judah's sons, I mean, the Lord put to death.
yeah, they were
That's
bad.
what the Bible says, so they were not good.
Bad to the bone.
And then after promising Tamar, his third son, he did not keep his promise.
So Tamar is not the son. Tamar was his daughter-in-law who was promised to
Yeah.
his third son, Shelah.
Did I not say that with enough
Got
pause
you.
in there?
Got you. No, you're good. You paused wonderfully.
So then what ends up happening, if this is the chapter that we were reading, chapter 38, then Tamar actually gets called more righteous. Judah actually calls Tamar more righteous because of how she handles the circumstance with Judah.
Yeah.
And Judah, in the end, ends up repenting there. Anyway, Judah, though, when he heard initially about the promiscuity of Tamar, he was like, oh, we got to kill this person. And then
He finds out.
because Tamar brings the cords and essentially what would be like his identifier, like
Yeah.
his signet, like, oh, it's you, then he repents and
Yeah,
calls her
he
more
own-
righteous than
he
him.
owns it.
So you see, if you look through this, and I know that you guys could do this within your own lives too, you can see, oh, okay, like the Lord's there's been transformation, but we really clearly see that in Judah in these chapters because he's saying now, like, it's me. Like, I'll do it. I'm going to bear the full weight of responsibility. Send Benjamin, for goodness sake, because he said we could have already been there and come back. So let's just make a plan and move forward with it. The NIV Study Bible talks about accepting responsibility, though, and when it comes to reconciliation, there is no reconciliation if we don't accept responsibility, if we don't repent. And so this was a good quote. Accepting responsibility is difficult, but it builds character and confidence, and it earns the respect of others and motivates us to complete our work. When we have been given an assignment to complete or a responsibility to fulfill, commit yourself to seeing it through. And so that's one of those things, especially in a large family, that like this, him kind of usurping authority and stepping in and saying, hey, I'm going to finish it. Like this family potentially is so many people.
Yeah.
Like we're reading right now just about the brothers, but there were tons of lives at stake right now in the house of Jacob.
Yeah.
And Jacob is not willing yet to send Benjamin.
Yeah.
And so Judah's the one saying, okay, I'm going to take responsibility. It's me.
So Jacob relents and lets him take Benjamin.
Yes.
He basically says, if I die from a broken heart, so be it. I'm like, not the healthiest perspective here, but I guess we've all got our shortcomings. And then we notice, though, in verse 15 that Jacob had them take even more money that had been put in their sacks back, as well as more money to purchase that food.
Yeah.
So you see maybe a little swindler, a little trickster. Here he's trying to act honestly. What comes to my mind, actually, is when he was reunited with Esau. And the 400 men were coming, he got like hundreds of animals and gifts and sent them ahead because he's like, if I can use this earthly stuff to win this person's heart over and soften it, it's going to be good. So here you say, we're going to send the money back that was given to us plus more money. We could argue that this is growth. We're heading the right direction. And so the brothers head back to Egypt, and when they arrive there, they're taken to Joseph's house. And of course, they can't be optimistic right now. This guy just accused them of being thieves and criminals. And they approached Joseph's steward and explained the whole money scandal that happened last chapter. And the steward's like, don't worry about it. We receive full payment for your purchase. Then the steward, who's not a follower of God, gives credit to their God. In verse 22 and 23, it says, it's all right. Don't be afraid. Your God, the God of your father, has given you treasure in your sacks. I received your silver. Like, what is going on? Their heads have to be spinning right now. And then he brought Simeon out to them.
Here comes Simeon. He's
when
good.
When Joseph came out, now in verses 26 on, Joseph came home. They presented him with the gifts they had brought into the house, and they bowed down before him to the ground. He asked them how they were, and then he said, how is your aged father you told me about?
Right.
Is he still living? And they replied, your servant, our father, is still alive and well. And they bowed down, prostrating themselves before him. And so this would be a flashback. Whenever this becomes a movie, this is going to be an epic flashback back to Genesis 37, verse 51, when Joseph said, you're all going to be bowing down before me, because here is the fulfillment of that dream. But you pick it up next as it turns his attention to Benjamin.
Big stuff, yes. So this is chapter 43, verse 29 and 30. As he looked about and saw his brother Benjamin, his own mother's son, he asked, is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about? And he said, God be gracious to you, my son. Deeply moved at the sight of his full brother, Joseph hurried out and looked for a place to weep. He went into his private room and wept there. Man, so this is one of those times when I just put myself in the story with Joseph in this time. And all these other, even Egyptian, servants, everybody's watching. They're going to have this big dinner. Everybody's seated, and everyone's kind of watching. And then Joseph removes himself to go weep alone. Holy cow.
Well, what's interesting, though, in the end of this chapter is they have a big meal, and he lines them up in birth order. So again, the brothers are got to be so, their world's upside down. They've been accused of all this stuff. They thought they were done. Their brother's going to die. Their father's ticked at them. They're going back. But then they're like, no, that extra silver is yours. Your God provided this, your silver. They're like, we didn't give them silver. And now they're seated in birth order. So Joseph's just messing with them. But then he looks at Benjamin. He probably sees a mini version of himself.
Right.
And he gives him a double portion. And he's convinced now that his brothers have changed. And so let's transition to the next chapter, Genesis 44. He tells the stewards to return the silver to each man's sack, but to put his cup in Benjamin's sack. So the brothers now are heading home, and he sent his steward after them with these instructions. So you go ahead and read the instructions that Joseph gave the steward.
Go after those men at once, and when you catch up with them, say to them, why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this the cup my master drinks from and also uses for divination? This is a wicked thing you have done. When he caught up with them, he repeated these words to them. But they said to him, "Why does my Lord say such things? Far be it from your servants to do anything like that. We even brought back to you from the land of Canaan the silver we found inside the mouths of our sacks. So why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If any of your servants is found to have it, he will die, and the rest of us will become my Lord's slaves."
This is one of those scenes, if you back up as a viewer, you're going, oh no, they don't know the setup. They don't know that the cup is in Benjamin's, just like, remember when Rachel stole Laban's household gods?
Yeah.
Jacob didn't know. So Jacob tells Laban, if you find whoever took him, kill him.
Put him to death.
And then for us watching, knowing what's going on, you're going, don't say that, bro. This is going to be terrible. So that it's building up. There's a climax coming. And the purpose of the cup again was to create a reason to bring a charge against the favorite brother Benjamin, to put all the pressure on the brothers for the final test to see, have they really changed?
Right.
That's it. And so in verse 10 it says, very well, he said, let it be as you say. Whoever is found to have it will become my slave. The rest of you will be free from blame.
Yes.
And so chapter 44 finishes up like this. The steward searches the sacks from the oldest to the youngest, again building up the climax here. He got to Benjamin, there was Joseph's cup. And the brothers tear their clothes in grief. When he got to Benjamin, they realized, like, we are done for. But it doesn't say that he took Benjamin and they all went home. It says they all returned with Joseph, or all returned to Joseph in Egypt, all of them.
Yeah.
And then what happens is Judah steps forward. So Judah stepped up to talk to Jacob. Now Judah is stepping up now, representing all the brothers. He says, we will all stay as your slaves. And Joseph says, no, I'll just keep the one who stole the cup, Benjamin. And Judah goes into a long explanation of the lost brother, Joseph, how Benjamin's precious to their dad. And he tells Joseph he can't go back without Benjamin. He just can't. Verse 33 and 34, he says, now then, please, let your servant, let me, Judah, remain here as a slave in place of the 30-year-old boy, and let the 30-year-old boy return with his brothers. How can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me?
Yeah.
No, do not let me see the misery that would come upon my father.
Yes. So finally, Joseph sees it. He sees, okay.
They've changed.
You know, we talked about how testing, is happening here with Joseph, and he sees the test, has shown. There has been redemption, there has been formation, there has been change in their hearts. And it's not just, oh, let me give you my son, or let me, I'll repay and I'll give you a bunch more money. It's like, I'm willing to lay down my life.
That substitutionary atonement coming through. I just thought so many good stories try to get this kind of character development and suspense and reveal.
Yes.
And like I think of Iron Man. We like superhero movies at our house. The first Iron Man, he's a womanizer. He's a playboy billionaire. He's arrogant. He ends with, I am Iron Man. And it's all about him.
Yeah.
His arc, though, concludes, at least up to this point, we don't know what's going to happen with the other Avengers movies, but he lays down his life and sacrifices himself, ending with I am Iron Man by beating Thanos and all of that. Still, though, like what Hollywood tries to get doesn't really scratch the surface of what is real and what really happened a couple thousand years ago in the life of Joseph, in the life of Jacob, in the life of Judah that keeps popping up here. Now, even better than Iron Man, and even better than Joseph, and even better than Judah, we get Jesus.
Yeah.
Tremper Longman, who again writes Genesis, the commentary that's from the series The Story of God Bible Commentary, says this about Judah and Jesus. Judah offers himself as a prisoner. Jesus offers his very life. Judah's offer is ultimately not accepted by Joseph, while Jesus did die on the cross.
Yeah.
Judah offers himself in place of Benjamin, a family member. But according to Romans 5, 9 through 11, Jesus offered his life on behalf of those who were his enemies. Jesus died in our place while we were still his enemies. And now we're called to sacrifice ourselves for others in service of Jesus. We do not live for ourselves, but for the glory of God and the betterment of others. And Joseph now cannot control himself any longer when you go back to the end of this chapter of Genesis.
Yeah.
And he told everyone but his brothers to leave, and he wept so loud they could hear him outside the room crying. And the big reveal's coming.
Dun, dun,
He's
dun.
about to say.
You guys, we're really doing it.
Epic words.
We're almost there. Yes.
So keep reading the scriptures for yourself. We hope this is a secondary and supplementary material But meet the Lord in it. That's our prayer. Share it with somebody else. Get them to read the scriptures with you. And we're blessed to study God's Word with you. So God bless you, and stay tuned. We'll be back tomorrow.
The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give him his peace. Have a great day.